backcountry road. It was all ice covered road, and there was a little patch in the road, and I was gravitating towards that little patch in the road just because it was slick everywhere. And my buddy was behind me, and all of a sudden all I heard was my name, and I turned around, and all of a sudden I see this 4x4 truck just sliding right towards me. And I
Wow.
had nothing to do other than I couldn't get out of the way. It was just like, I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get hit. And it hit me in the hip and literally threw me 36 feet.
You are listening to the 5 a.m. podcast, and today is your day. Now, before we dive into this transformative conversation, if you find value in these early morning discussions, please consider supporting the growth of 5 a.m. podcast by visiting buymeacoffee.com/5am podcast. Your contribution helps us continue to bring you these insightful conversations with exceptional individuals. Now, please join me in welcoming our special guest, Rene. Rob, welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, this is going to be a great conversation. I don't know how we're going to cram everything into 60 minutes, but
exactly. We can talk for 60 minutes on one of those topics, let alone all of them, right?
That's for sure. So what we're going to start out with is talking about your sports background and what that did for you and some coaching. And of course, you're still a young athletic man.
I wish.
Yeah. So let's... age is a number, right?
That's right.
And a mindset.
Right.
So let's start things off talking about the importance of sport in your younger years.
Yeah, it was really transformational. I loved all sports, right? I was very active as a young man, but running was just one of those things that I excelled at. I was just so much, God had given me a gift, right? That was just much better than I was at basketball or soccer or any other sport. It was just I was different, and I also was lucky enough to have a brother that was a mentor of mine. He was 4 years older than I, so I was able to lean on his knowledge and expertise as he grew up in life.
Yeah.
He was always distilled things to me, and so running was I got that benefit from him.
Yes.
He would learn things, and then I would apply them. And one of the things that was just transformational in my young life was nutrition. I read a book called Eat to Win, and that book was transformational in my life. And funny enough, not funny enough, it's just amazing how God designs our lives. But I look back on that now and I'm like, man, God taught me about nutrition way back when I was young, and how important that was to my running. Because it was funny when I would run a race. I was a distance runner, and I'd always have a good finish. And my competition, I used to get so mad because they're like, he can always just finish better than we can. We'd get down to the end of the race, and I could always usually out sprint them towards the end of a race, and we get frustrated. And I attributed that to my nutrition, because they're eating hot dogs and hamburgers and popcorn and soda, and I'm fueling my body correctly. So God gave me that knowledge to fuel the body, and just amazing how now that's what I do for a living. Is I really try to help people understand how important your body is and how you can take that information, and you are what you eat, right? And so you really can transform your health in a dramatic way. So anyway, that's how important sports were to me early on. Is it just taught me resilience, and it taught me how to work hard, and taught me how to train hard, taught me just dedication to a craft. That was really, really important. So I loved just that part of my youth and running, and that's what started my passion for sports and for health.
Wow. Well, I love that. And I noticed, did you go to Brigham Young University?
I did.
So did you have an athletic scholarship?
Yeah, that was one. I literally went there. I'm not Mormon, but I was a young Christian athlete, and I went to BYU because they'd produced professional runners out of that school.
Is that
and
right?
That was my goal, was to be a professional runner at the time. and they gave me a full ride running scholarship. So
Wow.
it was pretty exciting in the respect that I was able to get a full ride running scholarship there
Yes.
at a Division I school, and they were a really good school,
Mm,
and they'd produced professional runners, and so
right.
I was super stoked to be there.
I bet. Well, in my broadcasting career, I spent a lot of time around university athletes, and I saw the benefit that came to those athletes from being at the university level, but in sport and having that responsibility. Can you talk a little bit about that, that maybe character building or person building that being in a university sports program did for you or you've seen do for other athletes?
Yeah, it was really impactful because it was college in and of itself is relatively stressful, right?
Yeah, it
You're
sure
there and there's a
is.
lot of work to do, and then you throw on sports on top of it, and it's time consuming. So you go 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you go work out for
Yes.
multiple hours every single day. You have trips that you have to take with the team, and it's literally, especially with running, we
Hmm.
would work out twice a day, right? So we would work out in the morning, we'd go do a run, and then we'd do
Yeah.
our workouts in the afternoon. Then sometimes you lift weights too. So you're working
Yes.
out 2 to 3 times a day, and you're trying to do your schoolwork. So it really became a really important time where you need to understand how to time manage, right? And
Yeah.
make good use of your time,
Hmm.
because it really sucks up a lot of your time. But at the same time, you get the benefit, right, of all the things that are you come with being a collegiate athlete, where you
Right.
get to travel with the team, right? You get to represent the team in your school, and there are a lot of advantages that come with it. But boy, it really teaches you how to be disciplined,
Yeah.
and how to use time wisely. Because man, you
Hmm.
can really. I saw some kids who just were horrible at time management, and their grades just suffered dramatically because they couldn't figure out how to juggle those
Right.
types of things. So really was a important skill building thing for me during that period.
Yeah. So then the reason that I wanted to ask you these questions about sport before we got going is I thought there might be some parents or maybe some student athletes that are listening today and distractions and the little black mirrors that we all have
Yeah.
around us. And you talked about time management, which I remember from my degree program. Boy, I didn't have sport. I guess I coached, I did a little bit of coaching on the hockey team for the school, but that time management and that distraction are so critical to being able to execute and have success in sport and in school.
Right.
Were there some obstacles that you had to overcome to stay in the game?
Yeah, for sure. It was literally, I remember one class was really tough for me. It was a economics class. And it was one of those
Okay.
weed out classes, where you go in, and
Yes.
and they just you literally the highest score on the test is a D, right? And it was like one of those you just feel dumb because the professor makes it so difficult, and he does that on purpose, right? He really makes it hard, and so you go in there and you're like, what, we didn't learn any of this. How are we supposed to know this
Yeah.
on the test, right?
Yes.
But they do that just to get your mind to critically think and to think outside what you're learning and those types of
Hmm.
things. But it made it really difficult. You felt like a failure. You get a D on the test, but then you look at the curve, as they call it, and you
Yes.
get an A in the the test. So it's just super weird. But that I do remember that type of thing was just really strange to me. It was like, oh my gosh, and I needed to go get help. Right? I'm like, I'm really struggling with this particular course, and so I had to go get extra help. I had to go get a tutor. Like, what
Hmm.
the heck? I used to be one of the relatively smarter kids, right? And then here I am getting a tutor, but just realizing where you have weaknesses and saying, and
Yeah.
and not being afraid to ask for help. Right? I think that was an important aspect of my
Hmm.
upbringing too. Is like, hey, maybe I'm a little over my skis on this
Yes.
particular area, I'm going to go get help. And even though, was confident and I was relatively smart, I was smart enough to know I needed help.
Yeah.
And I think that we get so distracted these days that, and you get afraid to ask for help. And I think it's
Mm.
okay just to say, hey, Lord, I need your help. But then guess what? I'm struggling with this particular area. Maybe it's even just mentally or
Yeah.
psychologically you need help, or maybe it's physically you need help, and or in that particular case it was me, just a tough course, and I needed some help, just with the books, right? So
Mhm.
I went and got a tutor, and he helped me through that
Wow.
process, and I ended up doing fine in that class. But I think that was an important skill set of mine, just realizing, I guess I'm not so good at this particular topic, and it's okay
Yes.
that I'm not good at everything, right? And
Yeah, humbling
so
experience.
I think that was important.
You find value in these early morning discussions, please consider supporting the growth of 5 a.m. podcast by visiting buymeacoffee.com/5am podcast. Your contribution helps us continue to bring these insightful conversations with exceptional individuals. 5am podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5am podcast. So then, last question then related to sport. You talked about tutors, and then there's our coaches.
Yeah.
And there's been some great hits and misses with coaches. Are there some ways maybe that parents can actually support coaches as they work to shape and hone the child athlete?
Yeah, I think that's a really important one, right? Because that I think
Hmm.
I've seen the good and bad about that, right? I've seen some parents who are just horrible parents in the respect that they will go berate the coaches, and they'll just be in the coaches' faces and just do exactly the opposite of what you really need to do. Because those coaches are there to nurture and to love your kids and to
Yes.
help them be better. And so as parents, I think it's really important to say, what can you do to help the coach, right? What
Yes.
can you and maybe there is some communication issues between your child and the coach, and to softly bring that up and to actually facilitate discussion and or conversation to
Yes.
assist to that, I
That's
think is
right.
super important, right? Because man, coaching is tough.
Yes.
All these kids have different personalities, and the parents get sometimes too involved, and I think that
Mm,
can become a distraction and a problem for the kid if the parents
right.
are overbearing, right? So I
Yes.
think it's important to be soft and to just be a sounding board and maybe a reflection to help parents. That would be my advice.
Yes, that's right. Well, there is a hierarchy in sport. And the coach, he or she is the one at the top. And when we're coming onto a team, yeah, boy, we think we want to make waves or room or whatever the case might be. But so I want to ask you then about your running career, because your life changed dramatically after a winter training accident in Utah. Can you take us through that day that really reshaped your understanding of purpose?
Yeah, it was crazy because as I mentioned earlier, I did go to BYU for a
Hmm.
reason, right? I wanted to be a professional runner. I'd just made the U.S. junior team, so I was the second
Wow.
best miler in the country at for 19 years and younger. I went to the national championship race, and I just barely got beat at the very last second in our national championship race, and it was exciting because I was the second best miler in the country, and I went on an international tour with our
Mm.
country and got to wear the USA jersey
Oh,
and
super.
compete for our country, and that was just super gratifying. And I ended up winning one of those international races, so I was on my way. My coaches thought I was going to be a 3:48 miler at the time, which
Wow.
is
Okay.
was world record pace. So I was pretty gifted. I was super excited about where my life was headed. And then that winter after that track season, I was out on a training run, on a 10-mile run. It was really cold in Utah, and it was ice everywhere and snowing. And my buddy and I were, all bundled up with hats on and our gloves, and we were out on a 10-mile run. And I had a bloody nose halfway through the run because it was really dry.
Mm.
And I was like, well, should we turn back? And my buddy and I were like, oh, we got to get our run in. So we continued out on this backcountry road. And out on that backcountry road, it was all ice covered road. And there was a little patch in the road. And I was gravitating towards that little patch in the road just because it was slick everywhere. And my buddy was behind me, and all of a sudden all I heard was my name. And I turned around, and all of a sudden I see this 4x4 truck just sliding right towards me. And I
Wow.
had nothing to do other than I couldn't get out of the way. It was just like, I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get hit. And it hit me in the hip and literally threw me 36 feet. I landed straight on my face and then my knees. And then I was unconscious. So it was really a bad situation. I'm unconscious on the side of the road, freezing cold,
Mm-hmm.
and not able to breathe because unfortunately the blood from my bloody nose clogged my throat. So there I am laying on the side of the road unconscious with my throat clogged.
Compromised
And
airway.
it was
Wow.
really, really brutal. And I just, ever since that accident, I know God has a plan for my life because I did survive. My friend realized that I was not breathing after a few, little while. He was like, "Oh my gosh, this is really bad." He literally reached in and unclogged my throat. And if he
Wow.
would not have done that, I would have perished because it took 12 minutes for the paramedics to get there, and you can't survive that long
Mm-hmm.
without oxygen. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have died. And so it's just a miracle that I survived that
Yeah.
particular day. And then ever since then, I was like, okay, God has a plan for my life. But I didn't know what it was. And it did take me a really long time. I think now I'm finally stepping into what He has always planned for me. And I look back at my life and I can see specifically how He's trained me in every area of my life to do what I'm doing today, which
Wow.
is, if you'd have told me 5 years ago, what, would I be doing what I'm doing today? I said, you're absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to be talking about health. There's no way I'm going to be talking about my faith, because I just was not, I was not comfortable, especially faith. I just not comfortable talking about that particular thing, because I didn't know enough and I wasn't comfortable enough. So anyway, but ever since that accident, I just knew that there
Mm.
was something else, right? It's like I survived that for a reason. What is that reason? And then, unfortunately, I went did what the world tells you to do, right? And the world tells you to go get a degree and you go work for a
Yeah.
company and you go work for a large corporation and you go climb the ladder and you get married and you have a
Mm-hmm.
family with a white picket fence and you buy the house and you have 3 kids and you have a dog. And I did that. I did what the world told me to do. And man, it was fine, but I was living for this guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Right.
living for Christ, and I wasn't living for my Savior, and that has really transformed recently.
Mm.
And so I really feel, a selfish period of my life
Yeah.
was that, but and I'm really excited to try to help other young
Mm-hmm.
men go through their upbringing because
Right.
life because I want to just tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, guess what? That there is a reason for you to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and find that purpose earlier than I did." Right?
Yeah.
I felt it took me too long, but now I'm just super passionate about helping people find that.
Right. Wow. That's so you had like 25 plus years in corporate America, and the
That's
the
right.
9 to 5 cubicle box,
Yep.
and the commutes to work. So you were describing too in other places as well, not just in our conversation today, but this unfulfilled feeling despite the financial success. Were there some warning signs that came along that told you something had to change?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up being addicted to alcohol for 20 plus years.
Wow,
I was in
okay.
a sales position, so I was
Oh.
entertaining clients all the time, and they literally wanted us to go out and have dinners with our clients, and then on the weekends you take them out to golf, and you drink on the
Mhm.
golf course. You take them out to a bar or a restaurant for dinner, and you have drinks in the dinner, and then you take them out to the bar afterward, and I just did that day in and day out for
Mhm.
for decades, and that I knew was not healthy. I knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but I was just doing it, right? And I
Yes.
wasn't thinking about that, and it just became a problem. So that one, I think just the addiction to a
Mhm.
substance became a big problem in my life, and I realized that this is not gratifying, and so that was one big red flag for me, as well as just
Right.
spiritually. I would go to church and I loved my service, right? But
Uh-huh.
then I just was the type of Christian that as soon as the door hit me in the butt, I didn't think about church until the next Sunday. And I'd listen to the
Mm.
sermon, I'd get all fired up, and this is great, and then boom, I wouldn't think about it until the next weekend. So I really it never became who I was, never
Mhm.
became part of me. I'd called myself a Christian in name only, really, which I'm embarrassed to say, but that's true. And but now, man, I'm on fire. So
Yeah.
a lot of things have transitioned and changed
Right.
in my life, and that was an important part of it.
Yeah. Well, and nowadays, um, we could say alcohol is still a thing for many people, but you get into the wacky tobacco, as we
Yeah,
call it, or the devil's lettuce, as some people
right,
say. But
right.
that marijuana is another component that really impacts the mind and the thoughtfulness, and maybe the mental health of a lot of the younger generation.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, maybe we can get into that a little bit later in the show, but you mentioned a second truck, and maybe it wasn't on an icy road, figurative one, but we all endured that pandemic.
yes.
And we won't get into the politics or the opinions of that whole thing, but what specifically about the treatment of natural health practitioners opened your eyes? Because it sounded to me like that the pandemic was pivotal because it opened your eyes to something.
Yeah, what was crazy for that time period was when it really was the second. I literally call it the second truck because that
Mhm.
that it had such a major impact on my life. It was similar to the first one, right? The first one, I'm an athlete going towards a dream of mine, and I'm doing everything's perfect, everything's going great, and then boom, immediately
Mhm.
my life transitions. And the pandemic did the same thing for me. I'm in a corporate career, life's going great, I'm doing making good money, things life is good, and then boom, the pandemic hit and I lose my sales job because I was a traveling sales guy, right? And you can't travel right during that period.
Yeah, right.
And so it was the first time they downsized the team. They're like, we're not sure what's going on. And I lived in a remote area in Oregon. And so it wasn't like I was in a major metropolitan area where I could just travel to my clients. So it just made sense for them to downsize the team. But what that did for me was give me the first time to really kind of sit back and see what's going on in the world. And
Yeah.
obviously, I was really nervous about the whole thing just from a health perspective. It's like, how do I protect my family? And I went and leaned on what God had taught me as a youth, right? It's like, remember that
Ah,
book you read,
yes.
Rob? How
Yeah.
nutrition is so
Eat to
important,
win.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so important for me to realize that, hey, we are what we eat. So I started doing research, and what really impacted me was that skill of research. I want just everybody to understand this, that you can't rely on the information you're getting today from anybody. I just
Mhm.
want you to be skeptical about all information you're receiving because it's really important for you to start doing your own research. Don't believe what the media tells you. Don't believe what the newspaper tells you. Don't believe what you hear on the radio. I mean, literally, you can't. You can take that information in, but use that as one idea, and
Yeah.
then go do your own research on these ideas. Because what I found really made me mad when the pandemic hit. I remember doing what most impactful thing was this doctor who was talking about vitamin D, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, vitamin D I know is really good from sun perspective. God
Yes.
made the sun, and vitamin D is very healthy. And without sun, we don't have plants. Without plants, we don't have oxygen. So on and so forth. So I was like, why are they suing this gentleman for billions of dollars? And so yeah, it's like he must be a really bad doctor, or vitamin D must be really bad. So I did research on vitamin D. Vitamin D is fine, right? And I was like, okay, that's not it. He must have lots of skeletons in his closet. He
Right.
must be a really bad doctor. So I dug in and I couldn't find anything wrong with him. I was like, he's a holistic practitioner who was helping
Mm-hmm.
people with natural solutions. I'm like, I don't see anything wrong there. So what's the motivation? Why are they attacking him? And then I started peeling the onion open, and that's when what I call the medical cartel. Right,
Mm.
that's what I found. We have a very very corrupt healthcare solution in the United States, and it's just a system that's all set up for the wrong reasons. It's not to help people at the root cause to get well. It's to
Mm-hmm.
make money, and it's not the individual nurses and or practitioners and or doctors' problem. It's the way the system was set up and how it
Mm-hmm.
was overtaken. What I believe in the early 1900s, our system was taken over, very very systematically,
Yes.
and that has become now what people call big pharma. Right, almost
Right.
everybody's heard of that term. And then as I did research on that, I was like, holy smokes, and just really made me mad and opened up my eyes to this whole new world. And then, in parallel, during that research period is when I started researching the Bible. And
Ah,
that's
okay.
when that really transformed not only my understanding of all natural health, but
Yeah.
it really transformed my relationship with God. Because I now have a one to one relationship with Him. I
Mm.
don't have a
Mm-hmm.
religion, I have a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's so impactful in my life now that I'm so excited about my faith and so excited about the
Right.
Bible and so excited to help people understand that. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I call myself a faith and health warrior, is because I want to help you with your health. And there's lots of things I can do to help you with your health. But
Yeah.
guess what? I want to do that because I love you and I want to help you get well. And then I want to have a faith discussion with you if you're open to it, right? Where,
Right.
hey, I believe that there's a better future for all of us if we understand that God is our Savior and that Jesus Christ died on the cross for us. And man, if I can get that across to people, and I believe that's why I'm here on this earth, is to do that. And
Right.
like I said, 6 years ago, I'm not talking to anybody about my faith because
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid that conversation.
Right.
And
Yes. And that door's hitting you on the way out. But
that's it.
I wanted to ask you, one of the things that you and I talked about, ladies and gentlemen, there we were having this little conversation before I hit the record button, and sometimes I feel like I should hit the record button sooner, but we were talking about frequency in medicine. And as you're listening, you're going to have some opinions and thoughts, and we have a comment section, and we'd love to hear from you. Uh, one way or another, we'd love to hear from you. But I observe the wind. Stay with me here because this sounds. I think this could be a really good rabbit trail. But we live near the Rocky Mountains, and there's a lot of let's say cows, and I'm setting the stage for you. We get a lot of wind, and we've got big trees. We're thankful for that, and sitting looking out the front window at the wind coming down the street, and I'm looking at all these leaves, and I was reading about Royal Rife and frequencies and that whole modality that was very popular over 100 years ago. And I saw the leaves spinning, and I love horticulture. If you're listening to any of these 5 a.m. podcasts, if I don't bring up gardening, something's wrong. We're we're not on the topic. But so I wanted to ask you then, Rob, what role, the reason I mentioned the wind, sorry, is that I was thinking, what frequency does the wind actually benefit the plants? And that's not very grammatically correct, but I think you're picking up what I'm laying down, Rob.
Yes.
We see these frequencies in nature, whether it's the wind or the heartbeat of an animal or a human, or the liquid flowing through the veins of a plant. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have houseplants, the research has been done that they know you're within 1 mile of them. When you're coming home, your plants know when you're within a mile of your home, they know that you are inbound to their location. So, Rob, let's get into frequency medicine. And can you talk about maybe how it's changed your approach to healing?
Oh man, it's so exciting because I when I first was introduced to this topic, I thought it
Yes.
was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like literally, what you just said
Yes.
on the surface of it sounds insane, right? A plant knows you're
Yes.
coming a mile away. Come on, right?
Yeah.
People just these days are very skeptical about everything.
Hmm.
So I was skeptical about frequencies too. This gentleman was when my solution to the pandemic was I'm going to go create health solutions for people. I'm going to go
Okay.
create a supplement was my initial thought. And then I got introduced to this, what I call a mad scientist. And he was been working on these frequency solutions for 30 years. My
Wow.
friend said, have you heard of quantum energy? I'm like, quantum what? I've heard of quantum computing, but never quantum energy. And so make a really long story short, he introduced me to this gentleman and he had these patches that when you put it on your body, it has a frequency on it, and it's supposed to help you with a certain health issue. Maybe it's
Okay.
pain or aches or allergies or things like that.
Wow.
We have different solutions, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to put this sticker on my body, and it has no medicine in it, and it's going to help me. I was like, come on, right? Give me a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
So I started doing that research again. I'm like, okay, let me try to understand this, and I went and researched the human body is made up of energy, right? And I didn't know
Yes.
that. And what's so cool is even down to our cells,
Yeah.
individual cells, they interact with each other via vibrations. And those vibrations give off a frequency.
Yeah.
And so you start understanding your body's made up of energy, our cells interact and they give off frequencies. But guess what? Then you do research and your body reacts to frequencies. And
Hmm.
then I was like, what is a frequency? Right? Just said, what's the basics? And they're like, oh my gosh, frequencies. Because I didn't know. And so I just started trying to figure it out. And I understood frequencies are everywhere. Light's a frequency, colors a frequency, sound is a frequency, right? The radio you listen to
Yes.
we used to listen to is a frequency, right? The radio systems that people use, our cell phones use frequencies. So then frequencies all of a sudden became not weird to me. And then our body's made of energy, and then you learned little amazing things. I did research on Dr. Emoto. Have you ever heard of Dr. Emoto?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and his research on frequencies and water and his
Hmm.
rice experiments and how even prayer has a physical impact on an external item. And it's just fascinating to me that those things were true. And so as I started to understand all this,
Hmm.
then I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, God made that just designed this body so wonderfully and fearfully that we still can't scientists still don't have it all figured out, right? There's
Yeah.
this new quantum realm that people talk about. There's quantum energy that is really exciting, and I think a lot of the future of medicine
Yeah.
is around frequency healing. And so we have these patches that we infuse these frequencies on these patches, and you apply it to your body, and it connects within 5 seconds to the energy system in your body,
Wow.
and then helps you with the health issues like pain or allergies. And it's just fascinating. In fact, what we even did to enhance it is we put 40 Bible verses on the actual patch as well. So we have the ones and
Really?
zeros of the verses. When you
Okay.
apply it to your body, the intent for the patch is there, the frequency for the patch is there, and the 40 Bible verses are all
Wow.
connected to your energy system. So frequencies are fascinating, and I just having a blast trying to help people understand that they are not weird, right? That God designed it. Right?
Hmm.
This is all, and I hate when people try to make it a woo woo thing and or a
Yes.
new age thing, because it's not a new age thing. They're trying to take over what God designed. God
Yeah.
created all of this.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Yes. And so that makes me think of Proverbs 4:22. And as I'm apt to say, there is a chapter in Proverbs for every day on the
Yeah,
calendar.
that's true.
And we
I
get
love
to
Proverbs. I read
uh,
it every day.
yes, we get to read. So we're recording on the 29th, ladies and gentlemen. So we get to read Proverbs 29 today, but Proverbs 4:22 says, "They are life unto those who find them, and health to all their flesh." And so the intentionality that we talk about, the creative beings that we are, that we get to talk about, and that light and love and the frequency is such a wonderful conversation. And it really is health to our flesh. And so let's talk a little bit more about the frequencies, because if there's something that's out of the box and off the main wide path, let me tell you, Michael is checking it out and looking at it. And I love that you talked about doing our own research, because that is not verboten, as my German ancestors might have used that word for something we're not. I remember hearing my parents or my grandparents use that word when I wasn't supposed to do something. But um, the reason that I bring up that is because there's such a world of information all around us, and there is as much truth as there seems to be at least the same amount of deception.
Oh,
And
for sure,
so,
or more.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, more, maybe there's like a 4 times multiplier
that's right. Yeah, I was gonna
of
say
that.
it's actually probably quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've done a
yeah,
great job of this disinformation for sure.
yes. So the reason that I bring that up um is because I want to find out from you then, was there a moment where you'd been hearing, oh, this is woo woo stuff, this is kind of nutty? What more nutty than a Christmas platter, if you remember getting those platters of nuts at Christmas time, ladies and gentlemen? You know,
Love it.
so what was that moment or that conversation that you had where you said, "Oh wow, this is like that." How I was, God showed me that book, Eat to Win,
Yep.
and this is like the lights come on for Rob. And what was that moment for you in terms of frequency?
Yeah, it was literally. Have you heard of the term applied kinesiology?
Yes,
Yeah, so, it's muscle testing. You may
yes,
it's people the common term that people use is muscle testing, but, if you understand what muscle testing is, it really also sounds strange. It's like, "Come on,
yeah,
that can't be true." But my gosh, when I've done all the muscle testing that I've done the last 4, 5, 6 years, it was the first time that I'd experienced these frequency patches.
okay,
So what we did is we took a patch and we'd have it, we'd hold on to the patch, and then we'd also give the person like even a bag of instant coffee, or even just holding their cell phone.
okay,
The cell phones are really bad from a frequency perspective to your body, and same thing with like instant coffee is also really bad. So you muscle test people with the instant coffee, and you
wow,
can pull down their hand
yes,
immediately, and then you give them this powerful frequency that their body loves, and it's healthy. And you try to muscle test that person,
yeah,
and they're all of a sudden become it's like superhuman strength. It's like,
uh-huh,
how is that possible, right? And it's because of the frequency of that energy is connecting to your body.
mm-hmm,
And when I understood that, because it's really a no-brainer when you see it and you feel it yourself. You're
yeah,
like, how is that possible? I literally I was giving you the same, the strength, and all of a sudden your body just totally reacts differently.
mm-hmm,
So, and then you start doing research on applied kinesiology and how, man, you can really tell so much about people's health if you apply the applied kinesiology correctly or muscle
mm-hmm,
testing correctly. People are doing it with genetic testing now, and it's really becoming a really important science to help people with their health. But that was a really light bulb moment to me. It was like, oh my gosh, the person tested me with these patches in
yeah,
my hand, and I was rock solid. And then they give me the instant coffee, and it's like boom, my hand just went down like a limp rag. I'm like, how is that? How did that work? That doesn't make
yeah,
any sense. So you start understanding that, and this just man, it's really really cool. So I love the fact that God has just
mm-hmm,
designed our body so incredibly wonderful that it does when you give it healthy frequencies
mm-hmm,
and healthy information. And that's why I love the inside as well. The whole mind body spirit thing is really important to me,
yeah,
because I love the fact that he gave us everything on this earth for us to put inside our body, right? And our
mm-hmm,
bodies are fueled based upon what we eat, but then there are also the frequencies that have a really big impact on our
mm-hmm,
body. So
yeah,
to have that whole mind, and then you praying and having a direct connection with your Savior, that whole mind body spirit connection is unbelievable. There's nothing better for your health than having a healthy mind body spirit connection.
yes. And ladies and gentlemen, I can speak for myself. I am not a purveyor of medical wisdom or advice, of course, but that's what we have guests for. And one thing that this was jogging my memory of as we're talking is holding supplements up to my sternum
Mm.
to see if I'm going to tilt backwards or tilt forwards as to whether my body wants to consume that or needs it. And now for some of you that you might see a TV commercial or a podcast like this, and they'll give you something to purchase, which we're not doing here. We're having just a conversation about this stuff. But the reason that I bring that up is our intuition, the frequencies that are in the, let's say, the capsules or the patches, they're going to interact with your body, and you will be able to listen and learn to receive instruction from your body, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. And I see Rob's nodding, so we're on the
Yes,
right
yes,
path.
yes,
But
yes.
so we've talked a lot about the Bible, and of course there's Vedic traditions, other healing modalities, whether it's like the Indians, the Vedics, and then the Chinese of Eastern medicine.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you then, from that biblical perspective, there's thousands of years of wisdom within the pages of the Bible,
Amen.
and you wouldn't some people don't know that they can go to the Bible, the word of the creator, for natural healing. um, what are some of those biblical herbs or practices that maybe surprised you through your research for their effectiveness?
Yeah, I'm having a blast with that topic because I
Okay.
literally we created a company called Exodus, right? And
Okay. Yes.
Or a product called Exodus. Exodus Strong is the name of the company, but
Okay.
around that particular fact, because I was doing research on all the biblical ingredients and herbs and superfoods
Okay.
in the Bible, and there's some amazing ones that are there. But then I was introduced to this practitioner who was talking about hydrogen and molecular hydrogen. I was like, wow,
Yes.
that's interesting. I was like, what does that have to do with the Bible? And the amazing thing is the more I research, it's like God created water before anything, right?
Mhm.
Literally, if you go back and look at Genesis, it's like he created water first, and then what's water made of? It's made up of hydrogen and oxygen. And the hydrogen is literally the smallest element that God has created on this earth.
Wow.
And so it's just like he created that. And
Yeah.
then there's also lots of mentions of different herbs and superfoods in the Bible. And so we literally taken the base element from hydrogen, and then we did there's already thousands of scientific research reports that have been done on hydrogen and the benefits of molecular hydrogen in the body. And then we took the 7 best herbs and superfoods that complement
Okay.
the hydrogen, and that's why we created this product called Exodus. I love it because like the everybody is missing, especially nowadays with
Yeah.
our food and our food supply being so tainted, and all air, being
Yes.
tainted is just really bad. It's hard to eat well and hard to eat healthy. So that's why we created Exodus. We put the micronutrients of wheatgrass and barley grass in it,
Mm.
that are specifically mentioned in the Word, right, in the
Yes.
Bible, a
Yeah.
lot, and those give you the energy, the nutrients that your body needs. And then saffron is mentioned in the Bible, and saffron is so amazing for you. It's like the most expensive element. It's more expensive than gold, to be
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah.
And it does really, really great job of hydrating your cells. So what happens as you age, your cells lose the hydration of the water, and that especially women over 40. Exodus is like the best product for, because there's 5 different problems that women over 40 have, and Exodus fulfills all 5 of those. It's the only
Wow.
supplement on the planet that helps with those 5 problems that women have. And I love it from an energy perspective. It helped me. I was crashing. I have a heart condition called bradycardia, where I have a really slow beating heart.
Okay.
And in the afternoon, I would crash about 2 o'clock. I'd have to take a nap. And this product gives me the natural energy to go through it. And it's all literally from the Bible. It's biblical ingredients that came
Mm.
from it. And we looked at it, and how can we synergistically make this a product that really helps people in a dramatic way. Because the last thing I want to do is help anybody. I can't help anybody with their health. I'm not
Yes.
helping them, right? So I've got to go back and look at how is it really going to impact them in a meaningful way. And I don't want to make this a commercial about
Right.
exit. I just want, but what's so fascinating is that God put everything on this planet for us,
Yes.
and we've unfortunately ruined it, right? Our poor food. 70% of our food today is ultra processed food. The nutrients aren't near enough on it, and then you look at the ingredients list, and the ingredients list has 50 different ingredients in this packaged product, and it's just really bad for you. So we need to get back to all
Yeah.
natural foods, whole foods, and we need to get back to clean water, and we need to get clean air. And man, if you can start getting clean air and clean food and clean nutrients in your body, your God made this body to heal itself. So if we can give
Yeah.
it the right setup, it's going to start healing itself. And so
Hmm.
that's what I'm really super passionate about, trying to help people understand.
Yes. And that being fearfully and wonderfully made means there's so many secrets to
Yes.
unlock. And I want to just go back to the patch
Yeah.
that you were talking about. How do you, and I'm not asking for proprietary information because I'm
Yeah.
not going to start making my own patches, but so how do you get that frequency into the patch?
Yeah, it's awesome. So what we do is we spray this little crystalline structure on it. So there's little microscopic
Okay.
crystals. It's called crystalline, and those can hold information. It's kind of like a computer can hold
Okay.
ones and zeros
Yes.
on, on a hard
Right.
drive. These little crystal structures can hold information. So we spray it on top of the patches, and then we can program those crystalline structures. So
Hmm.
we encode those three things. We a frequency and intention and a Bible verse,
Wow.
and we put those all on those little structures that then hold information. So as you apply it to your body, we put those little EEG mats
Yes.
on people's heads that
Yeah.
can measure their brain waves, and within 5 seconds you can see it connecting, because you'll see the EEG thing going like this when you're in pain,
Okay.
like
Yep.
your body's in strife, and you put the patch on. If you have the EEG thing on, you put the patch on, and all of a sudden your body, you see your brainwaves start going like this. It's like really smooth and calm, because your
Hmm.
body is actually you know take sorry, your body is not recognizing the pain anymore, because it's
Yeah.
actually interrupting the signal from your pain to your brain. So it's just
Mm.
absolutely phenomenal.
And I have seen, I believe it was a Parkinson's, someone that had Parkinson's disease, and he had a tuning fork, and he hit the tuning fork and he put it on his breastbone, his sternum, and his shakes went away.
Right.
Now, of course, that's totally just from what Michael saw on social media, ladies and gentlemen. So
Right, 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 right.
it's it's more than anecdotal. It's something I picked up on the interwebs, but it has to do with frequency, the frequency of that, whatever it was, 44 hertz or something. And as we know, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of information about the frequency of our music, the
Hmm.
432 hertz versus the 444, I believe.
Yeah.
And then there's the Schumann resonance, the frequency of the earth. Um, so there's a lot of these in unseen realms and invisible waves that are
Yes.
around us. And one of the things that, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Michaelism. I'm going to Michaelify this information, but something that I've encountered in my life, if I'm angry at somebody, if I say the wrong words, because we know life and death is in the power of the tongue,
Amen.
um, oftentimes, so that's something negative, but the inverse is true of the positive. We do something positive, we get a physical response in our body. In your research, have you found that some illnesses or dis-ease, we'll put a hyphen between the S and the E on dis-ease, so well, how some people might say disease, we'll say dis-ease, comes because of maybe words we've done, things we've done, or thoughts we've had.
Yeah, I think that is very, very, very important because what you said is literally key, right? And the Bible tells us that, right? There is power in the tongue,
Hmm.
and so it's so important. And there's lots of research out, that have been proven that your mind is very powerful. Your mind can literally control your body, and it sounds crazy, but that's how people can walk on,
Yeah.
ice, or they can walk on ice, or they can
Coals.
walk on fire, right?
Yes.
Because your mind can control how your body reacts, and that's why literally every single product we sell, we have a prayer guide. I'm showing a little prayer
Okay.
guide that has it
Yes.
because we literally want you to say this intention out loud, right? We want you to speak it because there's power in the tongue, and then we have a Bible verse. We want you to say the actual Bible verse, and then an actual prayer. So if you're doing the intention, a Bible verse, and a prayer together, you're using your eyes to read it, your mouth to declare it, your ears to hear yourself say it, and then you either use the patch on the outside, of your body, or use
Hmm.
our supplement that goes inside the body to help you with the nutrients there. You're using 4 out of your 5 God-given senses to help you with your health, which is just phenomenal. So I'm really, really, really strong believer in the power of the tongue, the power of your mind. God designed all of this, right? It's
Hmm.
not anything that Rob's telling you. This is all comes from God. Yeah, He created it this way, and there's science that proves it and shows it. So it's just what we need to do is be intentional about it, right? So if you take this prayer guide and you do it every single day, you're going to have positive results and positive
Hmm.
impacts. And that's why I love to do that. Tell people about Dr. Emoto's
Yes.
rice experiment, because when they see it, then they can understand it. So his rice experiment, I'll just be really quick,
Yes,
but
please.
it's like he does this experiment with 3 jars of rice, right? And he has one jar.
Okay.
They have water and rice together, and then he does this 30-day experiment where one jar of rice he just yells at and he swears at and he's mad at, and then the second jar of rice he loves. He's like, I care for you, I love you, and he's intentional about that particular one. And the third jar he just totally ignores. And he does that same thing for 30 days to these jars of rice. And
Hmm.
it's phenomenal to see the difference in those after 30 days. The one that he is mad at and he swears at is disgustingly gross and moldy. The one that he cared for and loves and nurtured is basically still white. It's a little murky because it's been in water, but it's
Right.
still white. And the one that he ignores is almost as bad as the one that he swore at. So it
Wow.
literally shows you the power in the tongue, right? That your tongue little and the frequency that you
Hmm.
give off has a physical impact on these external things. And
Yes.
when you see that, then it's like, oh my gosh, God, you made us so cool, right?
Right.
This is so neat that we can do that. And
Hmm.
then if we can just make our minds, just help train our minds to be more positive rather than negative, right?
Yeah.
And speak life into things and speak life into our bodies, that our bodies are going to be much, much better off. So this is why I'm just super passionate about
Yeah.
that whole mind, body, spirit thing, because it's
Wow.
so real and it's something that's so easy to do,
Hmm.
but most people are not doing it. So
Right.
let's do that. Let's start making that practice of doing that. And man, you can really transform your life just by simply having that mind, body, spirit connection in the morning. And I always combine it with a couple of simple health tricks that you do
Yes.
this mind, body, spirit connection. You add the hydration. You add some Celtic salt to your water and some lemon. You get some grounding in. We can talk. It helps
Yes.
with the frequency component, and you get some sun, which is the natural vitamin D. You can do and then you do breathing techniques. There's like 4 or 5 things you can do in the morning. They're just absolutely
Right.
free and can really transform your health in a dramatic way.
Wow. Well, this is a delightful conversation, and I know that we're getting close to the end of our hour on WDJY FM and on Denver Open Radio. But how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's best way to do it is exodusstrong.com is the site. In fact, I would love to give the community a free gift. If
Mm,
you go to exodusstrong.com/free, I've got a little free little travel pack of our Exodus supplements, like 6 capsules
okay.
that are free. Just send us a self-addressed stamp envelope. We'll send you some patches. If you want to spend less than $10, I'll send you a couple packs, right? Or you can get a bottle, and that's a great way to get a hold of me. I'm building a community that I'm super excited about. We're still probably a couple of weeks out from getting it launched, but it's called Biohackingville.
Okay.
And the reason why I call it that is because we're understanding how this body is wonderfully and fearfully made, and that there's little tricks that we can do to help it, like those
Okay.
frequency
Yes.
discussions. And I want to give people all this information that's like free, right? I want to just help people understand all this information of how to improve your body and mind and your spirit. And so we're going to have a faith community within there. We're going to have an integrative oncology community in there because I'm really passionate about
Wow.
cancer because there's lots of
Hmm.
lots of people going through that, and I've been doing a lot of research
Yes.
to help people related to that. So there's a lot of things I just want to help people with. So those are the best way. Biohackingville.com. Join the community there. It's free. And then exodusstrong.com if you're interested in our supplements. And then QEstrong.com is those frequency patches. Those
Okay.
are phenomenal and have helped thousands of people.
Wow. Well, we'll have to talk online because Susan and I are doing a fundraiser right now to expand the reach of 5 a.m. podcast on our Buy Me a Coffee. And
Awesome.
so there's some synergies there I think we can work. But um, we're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. I still have a lot more questions. So maybe part of this conversation is actually going to be on Buy Me a Coffee. So once you're done listening on radio, you could head over there. But I had a guest on maybe 6 months ago, Jason Yoon. We talked about the benefits of sunlight, and I've kind
Mm.
of ditched my sunglasses, but I've stopped wearing them because of my conversation with Jason Yoon.
Yep.
And there was a Bible verse that he and I briefly discussed, and it was where Jesus said, if your eyes be clear, then your whole body will be full of light. What do you know then of the benefits then of the sunlight and that spectrum at sunrise and sunset?
Yeah, it's so amazing. It's called blue light, that first 45 minutes of the day, and there's no UV rays whatsoever, right? In that first 45 minutes. So you go out and you get that, you get your face and your body, even if your upper body, whatever skin you can, connecting to that sun, and it's so helpful for your body because it just gets in and energizes your body, and it's just very vitamin D is a very
Yes.
important element to our human body, right? And so it's just very, very healthy. And I think even in the afternoon, sun is still very, very good for you. So
Yeah.
I do not wear sunglasses either. Unfortunately, people just, it's been, in my opinion, taken over, right? And saying,
Hmm.
oh, the sun is bad for you. And no, the sun is not bad for you. The sun is amazing for you. You just have to, you don't want to get burnt, right? You try to
Yeah.
because that's where the problems occur. But other than that, man, get that first 45 minutes, even the last 45 minutes to sundown is the same
Yeah.
thing where the UV rays are non-existent and it's just super beneficial too. So
Yeah. Now you mentioned blue light. Did you mean red light or is it
no,
blue?
blue, it's actually called blue light, that first 45 minutes
Ah,
of the day.
okay.
I'm super passionate about that. We actually have these red light therapy wands on QE
Okay.
Strong and really help rejuvenate your
Hmm.
cells just by using light therapy. So really, really big proponent of that as well.
I got to say, Rob, thank you so much for your insights and this great conversation today.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's just exciting. I'm just pray that we can help
Hmm.
one person, right? One
Yes.
person gets help from this conversation, and it was very very well worth it. And I just want to let you know that if you have breath in your lungs today, God has a plan for you. So just
Hmm.
enjoy it and understand that you have a place on this earth, and
Yeah.
just figure out what that plan is, and let's go help make a difference in the world. Let's be light.
And that brings us to the end of this transformative conversation with Rob Rene, a true faith and health warrior whose journey from collegiate runner to wellness advocate reminds us all that our greatest challenges often lead to our most powerful purpose. Today, we've explored the fascinating intersection of biblical wisdom and modern health science, from the healing power of frequencies to the importance of proper nutrition and natural remedies. Rob's insight on the mind, body, and spirit connection have shown us how our physical wellness cannot be separated from our spiritual journey, and how everything from the morning sunlight to the soil beneath our feet plays a role in God's design for our healing. As Rob so powerfully reminded us, if you have breath in your lungs today, God has a plan for you. Whether you're struggling with chronic pain, searching for natural solutions to health challenges, or simply looking to deepen your connection with your Creator, there are practical steps you can take starting today, like grounding, hydration, breathing techniques, and intentional prayer. They cost nothing but could transform everything. For those who found value in today's conversation, I have exciting news. There is an additional half an hour of this enlightening discussion with Rob, where we dive even deeper into biblical health principles, frequency healing, and practical ways to implement these insights into your daily routine. To access this extended content and support the continued work of the 5am podcast, please visit us at buymeacoffee.com/5am podcast. Your contribution helps us bring these transformative conversations to early risers everywhere, and it unlocks exclusive content like the remainder of today's interview. Don't forget to explore Rob's resources at exodusstrong.com and keep an eye out for his upcoming Biohackingville community, a treasure trove of vetted health information designed to help you thrive physically and spiritually. Until next time, this is Michael Claassen reminding you, please seize your day, enjoy those sunrises and sunsets, and all those beautiful adventures in between. I will see you next time on the 5am podcast. Thanks for watching the show. Just a reminder that you can get all of our resources, other episodes, and read our blog posts at 5ampodcast.com. 5am Podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5am Podcast.